So right now, everybody should be seeing my main screen. Good morning, by the way. My name is Chris Nixon. I'm one of the instructors here with Debbie. We're going to do a class on CMAs.
They aren't seeing the other screen though.
Which?
Do you guys could put it in the questions or so if you can see the Paragon screen? Oh, good.
Can they?
So I think.
All right, how about, there we go. Everybody can see my screen now, correct?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to dump that down.
Thanks, Melissa.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Debbie. All right, we're going to get going a few minutes late here. So now everybody, we'll do it with the video real quick. My name is Chris Nixon. I'm an instructor here with my RealSource. This is Debbie Ramfrado, Director of Education and Training for my RealSource. Today we're going to do a class on CMAs, and the benefits of everything. We're going to get rid of the screen because I don't need you watching me. I look up and down a lot, and I have papers. I shuffle in front of me, and it gets distracting. I really want you to follow on the screen. So with that, Deb, if you want to dump me and just show our full screen, that would be great.
Look at you. And you're dumped.
There you go. All right, good morning, and thank you for coming today or dialing in. As I said, our class is going to be on CMAs through Paragon. There's two ways to do them. One is a CMA through through Paragon, my RealSource. Well, both of them are through my RealSource. One is the CMA search setup through Paragon. The other one is through Cloud CMA. Both of them have their pluses and minuses. They're great tools to use. I use both of them quite extensively. So we're gonna, one's a little quicker version, and the big difference between the two is the one that's in Cloud CMA. That one is more like a presentation style format. When it's done, it creates a nice booklet that you can give to your potential clients. It's an excellent source. You can be very creative with that. The one that's done through Paragon, that's usually a one-page thing, but the one-page quick report or summary. The nice thing about the one in Paragon is it does some analytics for you at the bottom of the page. It figures out some averages, some medians, and all that other stuff. So if you wanted to see how much something is a cost per square foot, it'll do those calculations for you. Cloud CMA does not. So I would say right off the top, the biggest two differences between the CMA and Paragon or the one sheets, the summary gives you analytics, where the CMA that is done through Cloud CMA is more as a presentation form that also you can marry your marketing materials with and everything else like that. So I'm going to get going into it and how we come up with those two different CMAs. I'm going to go through my computer, show you on the screen. My cursor has the red square in it, the red bullseye in it. If some places I go a little faster, you have a question, type them in. Debbie's here to try to respond where she can, or we'll stop the class and go over everything. And as always, after the class is done, at some point, Debbie typically downloads them, puts them on our YouTube channel. I'll show you where that is at the end of class, and you can go back and watch any one of the classes that have been done, or go back to a segment that I did in particular that you want to just kind of refresh on or see how I did the steps. So with that, I'm going to get going. CMAs, you typically start, we use a CMA, you get that call from somebody that comes in and says, hey Chris, I'm thinking of listing my home, can you help me out? What's my home worth? All those basic questions you get the first time you're going with the client. The first thing I like to do when I get that call is I always want to check the tax records. The reason you want to check the tax records is because you want to see actually who's on title. You want to make sure that if it's two people on a title, husband and wife, mom and son or something like that, or if it's in a trust, you want to make sure if you're going to present the CMA that the people who are responsible to sign everything are going to be there. Ultimately, if you're going in to present a CMA, you want to go with the attitude that you're hoping this becomes a listing appointment or a listing agreement for you. Just a side note, whenever I go to present a CMA, I always print out all the documents that are needed for a general listing agreement. And there have been times when I've been going through my CMA presentation, they liked everything, they indicated that they had liked everything. I kind of wrapped up my little CMA presentation, asked them if they were interested in listing with me. They said yes. I already had the contract with me, pulled it out, had them sign everything, at least the basic listing agreement. You don't have to do all the paperwork. You can always set an appointment later to come back to take the measurements and everything. But I make sure I have at least some of the basic paperwork in my briefcase, for that property, so that when I get there, if my CMA presentation is successful and they want to list with me, I'm not giving that a chance for them to rethink it overnight. So, strike while the iron is hot, as they say. So the first thing I do when I get a call is I always do a tax search, because I want to see who's going to be on that property. It does you no good to go there and talk to somebody and say, I want to list with you, but so-and-so also needs to be there. And just as a personal note, I have had cases where it was in a trust, and I had one individual trying to sell it without the rest of the trust members not wanting to be part of it. And, you have to stop them right there, because you can't go forward with it. So the address I'm going to use today is 46493 Kramer in Shelby Township. So we're going to start the tax search by going to BS&A online. And this is where you enter in the municipality, is Shelby Township. Want of Macomb County, obviously. And you enter in the address, 464 Kramer. Now, I've already gone ahead and done this search, so some of the stuff I'm going to do, I've saved. You'll see as I go through, some of the steps I do are a little streamlined because I don't want to take the process to show you absolutely everything. As you can see with BS&A, try to make that a little bigger. It pops up. There was only one, so it matched the address. I select that, and BS&A will load you all the tax information. This, by the way, is also where you can find the information that's required on the My Real Source data sheet that you have to use to fill in when you're entering a listing for those of you that like to do your own listings and everything else. This is where you get a lot of that information. As you can see, it tells you the year built, the square footage, bedrooms and baths. It also right here gives you the owner, and that's pretty important because this is where you'll see if it's in a trust, if it's one name or two names. In this case, there are two names, David and Reba Augustine. So you want to make sure that both David and Reba are there. If during the conversation you find out that one of them has passed away, you're going to have to make sure that if you get the listing and you go to closing, you're going to have a original certificate, a death certificate with you at the closing. The title company is going to ask for that. But at least this page tells you who you need to be talking to. It also tells you the school district, in case you're unsure. That's important because that determines your tax rates. And if you've taken our classes that explain how BS&A and real list tax and all that works, you understand all this other information that's on the page. But as you can see with BS&A, at least I can see who the people are on title here. I also print out this first page and save it, and I include it in the CMA. I just save it to my desktop, and I'll show you how to add documents into a cloud CMA. That way, if there's any discrepancy, usually people want to debate the square footage with me. This is what the county has on the square footage for their home. If they come to you and say, well, we put a big addition on it, we added another 500 square feet to our home, that square footage should be bigger. Well, I can't change that. You have to go to the municipality and negotiate, discuss that with them to get it changed. But I'm going to caution you, if you haven't pulled any permits and you're trying to tell them you put an addition on, you may be in for a headache. So I just go with whatever is listed on the public record data. One other thing on this form that's pretty good that I like to look at, it shows tax information. I always take a look at this to make sure they're current in their taxes, which could become an issue later on at closing. Just kind of want to make sure. And the building department, make sure that they're current on all their permits that were pulled. There was a case I had where I did get a listing. I noticed that they had built a deck. They did pull the permits, but they never finalized everything. It was just a matter of them paying, I think, like $50 to the municipality that they never paid. And they thanked me for showing it to them. They went in and paid it, so we didn't have any kind of issues out there when we got to the closing table. I just check that kind of so I know what I'm going into when I go into the listing. When I go into the listing appointment or the CMA appointment, hopefully getting the listing out of it. Especially tax. If they're really behind on their taxes, that's also going to help determine why they want a certain amount of money for their home. So I just look at this information just so I have it. I do print this first page and save the first page on my desktop so that I can pull it into the CMA later. So and I'll show you how to do that as we move along. So this is the address. I see who the clients are. I have this, or who the names are on the title. I have the square footage for the property and some of the other information. So now I'm going to go ahead and do a search back on Paragon to see what kind of homes come up on here. Usually there are certain things I kind of do. I know I work in Sterling Heights, Shelby Township, and Macomb. I know that in this area where this home is at, I'm very familiar with it. I also know there are some new homes in there in that area. So right away when I go to do my search, one of the criteria I'm going to put in is built prior to 2000, because I don't want some of the homes that were built in 2018, 2019, and 2020 coming into play, and the value of a home that was built in 87. So it starts with your basic search, residential. My screen may look a little different because I have some default settings in my my home screen that was covered when you took the basic intro class to my REALTOR. So don't fret if your screen doesn't look like mine. So it is going to be a residential search. I include solds and pendings as well in a CMA. The CMA is not an appraisal. Appraisers typically use solds. Solds determine what the market rate is. I like to include pendings and actives in my CMAs. This is my personal preference. If you don't want to include it, you don't have to. I'm not trying to be necessarily match an appraisal. What I'm trying to do is show my potential client how their home is going to fare against all the other homes in the market. So if I have an active and pendings on there, that shows them who their competition is, because if they list a home, those are the homes that are on the market. You don't want to be too high or too low below the homes that are your competition. The closed set the market price, so I try to include closed wherever I can. So I set my search criteria to active, pending, closed. I go back, I think for this search, I had to go back a little further than I normally do. I start out going back 30 days because I want to keep it as relevant as possible. For this search, I actually went back 12 months. The reason I went back for this search 12 months, I didn't get enough data to show you how the CMA works. I typically wouldn't go back this far, but I wanted to pick up some other information to make the CMA better for you guys from a visual standpoint from teaching. But I usually start right around 6 months, see what I can pull up, see how many show up, and if the number is good enough, then I'll go from there. I try not to get too specific with my initial search. I'm not going to put in the area where it's at because I'm going to do a map search. I'll come to that later. The structural style, I also know in this area there are ranches and colonials, are two-story homes. I don't want to because the home that I got a call on is a one-story ranch style home. I want to only search other ranch style homes. So my selection for the structure style is going to be one story. And the year built, my maximum I'm going to put in 2000. This home was built in 1987. I just picked 2000 because when I ran the search this morning, that seemed to be the cutoff point where they all jumped into the 2015s, 2018s, and beyond. So I just picked 2000 because I don't want those newer homes in there affecting their price. I don't have to worry about acreage or that criteria because all the homes in this area are about the same size lot. The above grade square feet, I went 2,200 for my minimum, and the max is 2,800. Ordinarily, I wouldn't have that big of a spread on a home that is only 2,300 square feet. Again, I went with the upper limit a little higher at 2,800 because I wanted to pull in a few more properties just for visual presentation on the CMA so you can kind of see how it works. You can adjust those ranges if you don't get enough numbers, enough homes showing up, enough properties. You can always come back and fine tune these numbers if needed. Bedrooms are all about the same. Bathrooms are about the same in there. They were all built with basements. I'm not going to worry too much about that criteria. unless I see something that I need to make it a search criteria, but in this case, I'm not going to. And finally, the last thing is I'm going to search an area. I'm going to do a map search. You enter the address in the search bar. You have to put in the city, otherwise it dumps me in the middle of a water. There's the home right there. Again, I've already did this search this morning, so I'm going to draw a search polygon figure where I know in this area, this is a little bit bigger than I would typically like to look, but this again gives me the properties that the numbers that I need to see in order to do the homes. Wait a minute, I want to redo that. That's not where I need to be. Let me try that one more time. It gave me too many properties. I think this is where I need to be, right in here. What I did this morning to replicate what I already did this morning. Yeah, that's pretty good. Then I'm going to run the search. It's showing me 9 properties, 5 in this general area and 4 down here. I could always zoom in the map, make it bigger. As you get closer in, it'll start showing where those individual homes are. But I'm just going to run the search right now and see what comes up based on the criteria I put in. And what I have right now is I have a total of 9 properties. The square foot, is here. This is how I have my chart set up on the search when it comes in. When I run the search and I see that based on the criteria that I put in. So with that, you can start doing your CMA. Now, the reason I went to some of the numbers I did was I wanted to show you how the reports look with an active and a pending in there. So I went a little bigger than I normally would. Like this is a 2,700 square foot home. I typically wouldn't include that. I'm including it right now for you guys so that you can see what it looks like. What it looks like when it includes a pending in the report. So right now you have it looks to be 7 closed, 8 active. I'm sorry, 1 active and 1 pending. Normally at this point, I would go through and kind of weed out some of the closed properties. I'm going to leave them all in the CMA. It'll help compute the averages a little later on. So let's see if I did anything else on my search, because this morning when I ran it, I had a different number. Oh, I know what I did. I wanted to eliminate some of the numbers in my search, so I wanted to change my criteria a little bit. This was too many homes. So let's go back to the criteria. When I look at the spreadsheet, I see I got some low numbers here. A couple of closed properties in the 375, 350. I want to get rid of those properties. So the easiest way to do it is I'm going to just change my criteria, and I'm going to put in a minimum price of $395,000. Just 2 bedrooms. Come on. Price $395,000 as my minimum. My search, that brings me to 7 properties. I like the 7 properties. Here's my new spreadsheet. It gave me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 closed, including, there was 1. Nope. We're pretty good right there. So we're gonna take those properties in that area. We got 7. I'm good with that. We're gonna run the search. Here's your search. Here's where we start doing our CMA with those properties. So as I said at the top of the class, there are 2 ways to get CMAs. One is through Paragon directly, and the other one is through Cloud CMA. Both of them start out the same process, where when you get the phone call, you go and you check the tax information. We already did that. We found out who the name are on the title. We've got that done. We ran our search for comparable homes in the area. Now, what else I would also do is I would go through and open each one of these up and see if there's anomalies in any one of them. Maybe somebody has a swimming pool or a big backyard with a big barn in it or something else. I would take the time to kind of look at each one of these individually. I'm not going to do it for the class for expedited purposes, but I would take my time and make sure I just wouldn't accept these on 7 properties at face value. I would go in and look at them. I'd also look at the fit and finish of the homes when you're inside them based on the pictures, because I haven't been inside this house from the person that called me, and I don't want to give them pricing of something and their house is maybe recently renovated in the bathrooms and the kitchens, everything's all updated, the exterior is painted and it's really good. That would be at the upper end of the values range for a CMA. Or it could be the reverse. It was an older, people who've lived in there a while. They haven't done a whole lot to it. Old cabinets, old windows, everything else. So I don't want to give them a price for what I think their home is worth, and be at they're at the wrong end of the market, of that market that they're in. So I look at all the photos. I try to get an idea in my head of what the range is going to be for the properties. So I do my due diligence. So when I walk into that home, I know if they're going to be, I like to say good, better, best, not high, medium, and low. So the good would be at the lower end, and the best would be like, really, really cleaned up and renovated inside. Just so I know when I walk in the home that I can speak to them more intelligently as to where their house should be and why. But I'm not going to do that here, but you could just open up all these and see. So back to the CMAs. The first way to do a CMA is probably the simplest. On the far right of the screen, you have this reports tab in green. Select that. You get a drop down menu, and all the way down here it says CMA. Select CMAs. And that gives you 3 options: the quick view, the summary, and the spreadsheet. The quick view is just that. It's a quick view. You open up quick view and it automatically gives you a little bit of information about each property. It runs 4 across the page. As you can see, we have 2 pages, and the other 3 show up right there. The photos are there that you can click on, and it's in a column form. One of the other not disadvantage differences between Cloud CMA and the CMA that we're in now is this doesn't show you anything compared back to the subject property. All it does is tabulates the data for your search information. So it won't show you anything comparing it back to our subject property on Kramer. But that's what this report is. It's a 2-page, in this case, a 2-page report. And it just gives you some basic information that you can look across and see. You can print this out, give it to your client, email it, or however you want to get it to them. The other report, and the one, quite frankly, that I use the most is the CMA summary. This is a pretty powerful report right here. What this does is anytime you have 2 or more under each one of these headings, it'll do this right here. It'll summarize the information, give you the average, the minimum, the maximum, and the median. So you want to know the average square feet for the homes that closed, the 5 homes that closed, it was 2,444, and the average sell price was $430,000. Right here, there's only one in the upper active chart. There's only one property currently active. So again, you can see the square footage and the asking price. Similarly with pending, there's only one in the last within the time frame I put, and you can see it's 2,700 square feet and 475,000. The sold price for a pending won't come in until after it closes. Of course, then it'll move into the closed column. So this right now, you can see in their neighborhood, they got homes ranging around 2,500 square feet to 2,700 square feet, and up to mid-level 4s. Okay, and the average that they're selling for in the neighborhood is around $400,000, $430,000. That kind of gives you a ballpark of where homes are at in there. So if you're going to go in there and the person on the phone, you do a little conversation with them, they have a 2,300 square foot home, which appears to be kind of a little bit at the lower end of properties out there, and they're telling you they feel it's worth $450,000, and you haven't seen it yet. You're already going, okay, well, how does that compare to the neighborhood? You can see quickly that it doesn't quite compare to what's out there, unless maybe they have the home extremely fitted out well. So the CMA summary does just that. It summarizes everything for you. The nice thing about this table here is you have the ability to customize any one of these headings up here and any one of the tables. So if you had somebody that was more interested, let's see, I don't have, whatever you wanted to add on here, I don't have acreage. So let's say you're doing something more in a rural area and they're looking for something greater than 2 acres and you have some 2-acre parcels, 5 acres, whatever. You can very easily come in and customize adding acreage here. To simply customize any one of these 4 tables, up here where it says customize, select fields. On the right-hand side of the screen is everything that's currently on the table. On the left are all your options. So we want to select acreage. Oops, I helped with acreage. And then we'll just add it in there. Acreage is here. I can move it to wherever I want. I can put it right behind year built, and that's where it'll appear in my table. The unfortunate thing is there's no universal way to change all 3 tables at once. Right now, I'm currently working in the active table. You have to save it. Acreage will appear right here in the active table, but not in the sold or the pending. If you want it to appear in the sold and pending as well, you have to, again, come up here to customize fields, select the table you want to go to. I'm going to sold. I want acreage. Select acreage, add it, and it'll drop it down in the bottom, and then I move it right up here, right behind year built. Just a simple click and drag, and it will be added to that table. So it is right there under, well, I needed to move it over one more. And similarly, if I don't want a field in there, customize fields, select the field from the right side of the screen, in this case acreage. I click on there and hit remove. It'll take it out of there, hit save, and for the active field it got rid of it. And while we're at it, I'm going to take it out of my sold as well, so that when I pull my chart up again, I don't have to do it later on. Change the status to sold because that's where I want to remove acreage, and just select remove. And we're going to save it. So that's how. One of the columns I like to add in on the sold side, because that's the only column where, or the only table where it showed up, is this amount, concessions amount. So this house sold for $410,000, but they had $8,200 worth of concessions. So I like to include that in my solds because it's sometimes when the market shifts and all of a sudden it becomes more of a buyer market and they start getting all kinds of concessions, and you see a price that's like, wow, that seems kind of high for the house, but then you realize there were $10,000 in concessions backed into it. That kind of lets you know what's going on. I also like to keep the concession amount in there because I want to see when people are starting to ask for concessions and get them. Right now, typically that column has stayed blank for a long time. I'm starting to see more and more concessions come in, which means if I have a buyer that really needs to get some concessions, I'm starting to sense that there may be a likelihood I can ask for them and maybe get them. In the middle of the summer, you didn't see any concessions, and there were no concessions when this market was red hot for the sellers. So I added that column same way, customized, sold table, and everything else. The biggest thing I like using this report for is it summarizes all your data here, so you can now start looking at square footage numbers. Based on this right here, the sold price, I don't have the sold price per square foot. I can add that in here real quickly because I want to see what the sold price per square foot is averaging. We're going to go to sold.
Oh, those blue check marks. Actually, so Melissa just had a question about the blue check marks on the right. So that's the short label, long label ones, I believe. There were two different columns, yeah. So one is to, when you're viewing the report, do you want to show that short label or a long version of that one, or the short label and short values?
Yeah, so the reason I have those selected is sometimes when you get so many columns in there, your report gets a little too long, and then it only prints like a part of it and then 2 more columns on another page. So you can't just throw everything in there because it won't print out in a nice tabular form. by selecting some of the different label values like that, it does shorten up some of those columns because the columns are pre-formatted. So I went through and selected some of them because at some point, sometimes when I teach this class, I start adding a bunch of stuff and my columns get very long, and my spreadsheet won't print on one page. So that's why you go through and select those to shorten them up. So I'm adding the sold price per square foot to my sold table. Thank you for your question. It's a good question, Debbie, and thanks for interjecting there. So sold price, why did it not? Oh, I forgot to save it. Sorry, I got talking fields. Active sold, unless I put it in there. We'll add it again. Should be sold price per square foot. And I needed to add it. It's at the bottom, but I want to move it up here to sold price. We're going to select save. Now when it regenerates, it's telling me that the average sold price is 177.5. So they're on 5 cents. So with their house being, I can do a quick math right now on my calculator. They're, according to BS&A, their home is 2,309 square feet times 177.05. Their house is at around $408,000 is what it should sell for. Okay, I could also put in the list price, average list price per square foot, and figure out what we should listing for. But right now, it's telling me their home should be around $408,000. So that's the CMA report under Paragon. The last thing is the spreadsheet, which is basically, I rarely use this one. You can customize this form. I've rarely printed this out. It's very similar to what you get when you run your first search. So I hardly use this form. I'm just showing you so you know that it's there. Most of the time, it's this form that I use, the CMA summary. This form, the CMA summary, another great way to use this form is on the buyer's side. If you have a potential property that your clients want to write an offer on, and they sit there and they go, hey, you know, what's a fair offer? What's the market doing in this area? You can do the same similar process where you plug in a search data based on the home you're going to write an offer for and see what homes are going for active, sold, and pending in that general neighborhood, and then give this to your buyer, a single sheet to your buyer, and say, hey, here's kind of what's going on in the market right now in that specific area for homes that are very, very similar. And you know, it'll help them to determine their pricing. If you're somebody who works with investors, I send this to my investors all the time. This gives them all the information they want to see. I may change some of the headings up there based on additional information that is specific to what they're looking for in homes. Sometimes you can, I'll delete the bedrooms and full baths and half baths and only put in their bedroom sizes, and they'll be able to see the bedroom sizes or whatever. You have ability to customize that, to generate the reports, to send it out to your clients based on how it's needed. So this is a pretty powerful tool that has a lot of uses for it. It can be used very well with buyers if they want to know what's a good, what's a good range to be offering for a home. If they're unsure, you can have this information so that you can talk intelligently to your prospective buyers about why in an area you can list a home. And also, certainly if you have a client that doesn't need a full presentation for a CMA with all the bells and whistles, this is a great report to give them so that they can know what's going on. So that is the CMA through Paragon. It's down here under reports, the CMA tab. You're going to open that up and go to summary. The other CMA way to do it, that starts back from your search. Once you've entered all your criteria, and you have the properties that you like in your search, we're going to take just one out just to show you. I've done my review. I went through all these properties and I liked everything. For some reason, I didn't like this Creek View or this Red Oak. I'll leave Creek View in. There's 2 on Creek View, so I'm going to leave them both in. I didn't like that Red Oak one for whatever reason. When I entered my criteria, they all pulled up. Either I had too many closed or I didn't want to include them all. you take the properties that you want to use now for the CMA that's going to be generated in Cloud CMA. You can do the same thing for the CMA report, but it really doesn't matter if you have a couple of lines in there. I don't mind having extra data in there. So now that we've selected the properties that we want to use in this case, for the Cloud CMA, you come to your far left and select checked. And now that will only bring in, you didn't lose those properties in the search. If I click all, it'll bring them back up. But I want to use just those 6 properties. I'm going to select checked. And I'll take these, now that they're all highlighted, you select this action button that looks like a plug. And you go right to Cloud CMA. And what this will do is, behind the scenes, it'll take you to Cloud CMA and it'll begin generating your Cloud CMA report for you. This is a tool that has a lot of different ways that you can present it to your client. It's also great if you have a good marketing plan and you want to incorporate it into this. This is going to generate more of a formalized report. It starts out here where you can, let me see if I can make this just a little bigger. There you go. Under the name of the report, I typically just put in their names. It was David and Reba. R-E-B-A. Make sure you spell A-U-G. Make sure you spell the name right, because when you name the report there, whatever you put in there is what's going to show up on the cover page. So make sure you get all that right. Private notes sections, if you had any private notes that you wanted to put in here to remind yourself, it does not show up anywhere in the report. It only shows up when you pull up the CMA again. The notes are there. The subject property. Now this is the one where this is the CMA that is going to give you comparisons of your subject property with the other properties that you pulled in, that you ran your search in. The subject property, we have to begin entering the address, 46493 Kramer. And as you can see, not only the first one that popped up is the one I want, so I'm just going to select that. And Cloud CMA pulls up some information that it might have. As you can see, the square foot was not filled out, but I know the square foot from the BSNA records that I pulled up was 2309. And it's square feet. It is a residential property subtype. It's where's it at? Residential or single family. I'm going to put it as single family right now. Advanced info. I try to fill this out if I can. It's got a two-car garage, and I'll show you why it kind of matters later on. And this is a ranch. It matters because when it's doing the comparative analysis between the subject property and the other properties, these are areas that are filled in that I know are there. So I like to put in that information so the table looks complete. Right now, I'm not going to add a cover photo. I prefer to add a cover photo of the home, and I'll show you why I add it or how to add it. If I have the time and it's the kind of year where the grass is green and everything's going to look good, I'll drive by the home for 2 reasons. One, I want to look up and down the street, see how their home compares to everything on the market. And 2, I'll just snap a photo to use in the cover photo. If not, if you recall, on the BSNA report, there was a photo of the property. You know, I'll use that, and I'll show you why I like to use a cover photo later on. But for right now, we're going to leave it. This is just how it defaults when you start your CMA. We're in the criteria phase of creating a CMA report. We're going to move through the listing, customs, and then, of course, the publish part. So once you have this information filled in here, you can select fetch listing at here or down at the bottom of the page. One other thing I want to cover is it pulls in the exact listings right here. These were the exact listings that we had our search. It pulls them in. So these are the properties that are going to appear in the report. I don't like using the quick and dirty format because it just pulls in similar properties to your property that you have listed above. It doesn't look for ranch or colonial, year built, or anything like that. It just pulls in. It doesn't do a lot of analytics behind it. It just pulls in similar type properties based on this information filled out in the report. That's why I always take the time to generate who my exact listings are. So once you have this filled out, the nice thing about Cloud CMA, you can come back and edit any of this at any time. So we're going to go to fetch listing or take it over to the next tab. A green tab at the bottom that says fetch listing, or up here, either one takes you to the next part where it starts pulling the information together for you to generate your report. And here it is. It pops up, shows you where the homes are located. And the nice thing, remember I said this one talks about our subject property. That is in purple, or in this case blue. It is right here. Here are all the other properties around it. So you can, you can see where they're at. I don't put in a price when I give a CMA for two reasons. One, it's in print. I early on in my when I first started in real estate, I felt I was really confident in my CMAs. I put a number in there. I got there, and the people, when I was talking to them, they were significantly over the number that I had published or that I had put in my report. And I either had to kind of agree with where they were at and try the old realtor line. Yeah, let's take the listing at that amount. If we don't get anything in 2 weeks or 30 days, we're going to reduce the price. Okay, they all agree. But the problem was I had a very low number in there because, I didn't know how they felt, and I didn't see their home, and they had their home really, really done up well, and now it's in print. And you're kind of left backtracking on something that's in print. And since I haven't been through their home and I don't know where they're going to be at price range wise, I don't put in a price there. If you feel very confident in the way you want to do things, by all means fill in a price. Also, I don't get into notes and adjustments. If somebody had a finished basement versus an unfinished basement, I'll show you how you can change that for the property. Let's say this one had a finished basement. This one had an unfinished basement. So if you want to add it in the cost of a finished basement, you can come in and make the adjustment. And if it was $20,000 plus or minus 20,000 and hit save, what that will do is adjust the price of that home by whatever you put in here. The reason I don't get into making adjustments are two. Number one, I am not an appraiser. This is not an appraisal. It's a CMA. And number two, and the biggest reason, I don't know how much things cost in the industry. I don't know if they know somebody that can do it for them. I don't know what they paid for anything. And I don't want to get into the discussion of comparing exactly every feature in every home across the board. What I'm trying to do is come up with a range that the client's going to feel comfortable with to ultimately list their home. So when I go there, I want to know what that range is going to be because I've done my due diligence and looked at the photos, but I also am going to be able to leave me the latitude to discuss with them, which way I need to move. And I'm not going to try to pinpoint exactly what I feel every home should be. And the biggest reason, number one, again, I'm not an appraiser, so I'm not going to get an adjustment. However, if you feel very comfortable making adjustments on the home, you have the ability to do that with Cloud CMA, where in the Paragon CMA you did not. It was just the data. I'm just showing you this so that you can see how to make adjustments if you're the kind that would like to make those adjustments. If you don't like an adjustment you made, simply select the garbage can and it'll remove it. And you go from there. We'll close that up. This also shows you how the properties are going to be listed in the order they're going to be listed in. Select a sort option. We can go list date, list price, days on market, list price. We're going to go list price. We have a pending, a closed, an active, a closed. I want them all in a certain order. Let's see, we go like that. I want to move my active up first. So I am going to just see where my cursor over here is an arrow. When it comes into this box, it becomes a glove. Just select that, and I drag that up into the order I want my active, and then my pendings followed by my close. This is how the data is going to appear. The properties are going to appear in my report is in this order. Okay, and then as you can see, I got the lowest close to the highest close. So I like the way all that looks. So now we're going to go to customize the report. One other thing, if you did want to add a listing, you can come down here, select that, add the listing, the MLS number, and it'll add it to your report. And you can also take one out if you need to. So we're going to select the Customize Report tab, either one of the green tabs at the bottom or at the top, or now over here, any one of these will take you to the next segment of the report, which is the customizing part of it. So while this loads up, this is where the beauty of Cloud CMA comes in. It allows you as the agent to have a lot of customizing features to make it your report, okay? It starts with the theme. Real quickly, you have kind of like a table of contents over here. The Power Pack pages are all down here. That's a premium subscription that you have to pay for. There are some agents I know that use this because it enhances their CMAs. I've never had to use this. I think what we get through My Real Source that comes with your My Real Source membership, you have more than enough to make a very, very nice presentation here. So the first thing you have is your theme. Your theme, at the top here, you have all these colors to select from. There is a difference between the modern and the classic in the way the report looks and lays out. The nice thing is if you select either one of these after you go into publish your report and you don't like it, all you have to do is come back to this page and change your theme, and it changes all the preset formats for you automatically. It's not like you got to redo the whole thing. Right now I currently have my theme selected to modern, royal, blue, and black. We're going to choose that theme. You can see it's applying the theme throughout everything it's going to do. The layout, you have several different options. You have the photo, 2 photos, photo with max data, 2-column, 3-column, and 4-column. These I'm going to touch on at the end. For right now, I'm going to go use one of these 3 and tell you why the benefits of each one are. The photo with the map I only use if I'm where I had to go mostly in a rural area and my search encompassed a couple of miles just to find enough homes. In this case, they're all within almost a half mile each other, all within a subdivision where the clients will probably know where most of the streets are. You will see the big map where everything's located in the beginning of the report. So I don't really need the photo with the map, because what you're going to get is the cover photo of the home and the map. I don't need that one for this report. 2 photos is one that for right now I'm not going to use. I'll come back to this and explain it to you towards the end of the class why I don't like to use the 2 photo one. The one I typically use if I'm going to do in this type of report is the photo with the max data. What you're going to get is you're going to get the primary photo here and then data about the house here, followed by more information down here. We'll just select photo with max data. There's no cover. In order to get upgraded covers, you have to pay for them. They're under the premium. Again, there's nothing where I've felt that I've needed to pay for this in the markets that I'm dealing with, so I don't go into that. The other nice thing that I like in Cloud CMA is you have multiple fonts, that all the pre-formatted font and how it appears and the numbers in your report. You can select these different ones to change the font in your report, and it's pretty simple. All you have to do is just come up here, select whichever one you want, and it changes how your report will look. You can come back and change it up at any time, and it just changes the font. It doesn't delete your data or anything like that. So that's the basics for how your report's going to look. Then you have all these other options down here. There's a lot of pages in here. Some of it is pre-formatted information that you can't edit. There are other things where you can edit it. If you're a newer agent, a lot of the pre-formatted pages give you some great talking points. If you're more an experienced agent that have been through this several times and you've been working at it, still look at some of these pages, whether you want to include them or not, but they give you some talking points to possibly freshen up your presentation or the way in which you present the information to your client. So look at some of these pages. Any pages you don't want, you can delete. As you see, as I move across these little title blocks, you appears with a red circle on the side. I already know some of them I don't want. I'm going to get rid of the cover letter, the agent resume for right now, our company. What is the CMA? This is a good page that I like to leave in. It's pre-formatted. And I'll show you real quickly on this page the font I was talking about. This is a standard page. It comes like this. You're branded down here in the corner, and it gives you a brief little summary about what is the CMA, how accurate, all that other stuff. Great talking points in there. It's a page I like to keep. In my presentation to my clients, I just kind of look at it. I mention it quickly. I leave it in there for them to read. But remember when I was talking about the font earlier, if you can keep this in mind of how all this looks here, and I am in the Lotto font. We're going to go up here to, I don't know, we'll try this. I don't know how to pronounce that, but that's going to be our font. And now when I open up the what is the CMA page, hopefully it looks a little different. Not really, but two fonts were similar. Let's see if I can find another one just to illustrate how the font automatically changes. I think we'll go with Railway. So it's a different little look. We'll go to what is the CMA. And it has a little different look to it, the way the letters are formatted and everything else. So that's what changing the font does for you. You have the Contact Me page. Any one of these, if you want to see what they look like, all you have to do is click on them, move your cursor till it turns green, select it, and it will open up your page. Here's what mine looks like. Yeah, I don't like those numbers there. I think those are hard to read. So I'm going to go, that was under Railway. We're going to go back here to Open Sans is usually the one I use. And now the Contact Me page should look a little different. I think those numbers are much easier to read. Personal preference, whatever you want to do, that's up to you. I was just showing you how that all works. As you keep going through these individual pages that are here, you kind of see that you have a listing chapter, which is just a cover page that says listings. You have all these tabs underneath it, the details of the properties, the photo, the first dozen. Here's the thing with the photos. Right now, you're only going to have the first dozen photos that are loaded into the MLS. I've noticed, like during COVID, the number of photos we started really putting online significantly increased. Agents started doing a lot better job of posting photos. They kind of got in the habit of it. So it only gives you a dozen of them, and as you can see, this appears all to be in one room. So if you want to include more photos for all the listings, you come up here under, under listings, drop down tabs, it says more photos, all the rest, select that button where the plus is. It's automatically going to default load it behind all those other pages. So now when you pull it up, it'll show you all the rest of the photos for the listing. And it could be 2 or 3 pages depending on how many are there. So I'll wait for this to load up. There's probably a lot of them here. Hopefully, spinning. They must have a lot of photos in this home based on the first page and the number of photos that were there. They probably are. Yep. Here's the first page. Here's the second page. It has a nice finished basement in this home. Third page, all that. Now, remember earlier when I said I don't like to use up here when we're talking about the layout, I don't like to use the 2 photo page. The reason I don't like to use the 2 photo page is this. When you select the 2 photo as your theme, and that's why I go with photo with max data, when you look at the photos, what this automatically does, once this loads up, is it takes the first 2 photos in order. So in this case, this one isn't that bad. It'll show the outside, and then this is the next photo you're going to see. In some cases, realtors will have the exterior photo, the primary photo, and another photo after that will be another shot of the exterior. So you're basically going to see 2 photos of the same thing. That's why I don't like the 2 photos, because whatever these 2 photos are that come up, that's what's going to appear there. So I just want the primary photo and then the max data. That's why I don't like using the 2 photo selection up here in my themes. You have all these pages you can go to. You have an adjustment page. We're not going to include the adjustment page, so we're going to get rid of it. You have a whole analyst chapter. There are all these different pages in here that you can look at for which way you want to analyze everything. They're great pages. Click through them and see which ones you want to include or don't include. A lot of them are preloaded in the default template. Suggested list price we're not going to have. Seller's net sheet, getting rid of that. Under the closing chapter, we have a whole lot of, commission distribution. If you have difficulty explaining how to distribute your commission, here's a good little thing that you can keep in your program to talk about it. Some great talking points. I am going to just go through and quickly delete a lot of these things. I've done this enough times. I know, oops. Yeah, I'll get rid of the guidance chapter. I have notes, listing paperwork overruled, moving checklists. I'm going to just take out some of these. I highly recommend you go through and look at these and see what they are, and if you want to include them or not. So right now, let's just say this is everything I want in my CMA the way it is. I'm not adding any custom pages. I'm not doing anything like that. I'm just going to accept this the way it is, and I want to publish it. Before I do that, you have to name your template. Otherwise, if you go out and come back, it's going to throw in all those pages we just deleted. So, and you don't want to have to go through and kind of reset everything. So we're going to call this 464. Oh, no, I usually do their names. David and Reba. Oops. Whatever you want to name it, you're just going to save this template, this format, and I want to get to show you what it looks like when it's published. Okay, there it is. We have it. Right there is the one we just saved. So now we're going to publish this report. We liked everything that was in there, so we're going to publish it. And it's going to, as you can see, it's loading up right here. It's getting ready to publish it. You have a couple options, which I'll cover in a little bit. You can email it. You can copy it as a PDF link. You can copy it as a live link. You can view it live. This is a big report it's publishing out. One note I want to throw in there, it's a personal thing of mine. If I'm going to present this to my clients, potential clients, I take the time. You need about an hour and a half to 2 hour notice, and I take this to any office store of your liking, anyone that does printing for you. I have this report printed on heavier weight paper. It costs me around $12 to $15 per report, but I'm trying to get a $400,000 home, and I want my report to look really good when I get there. The reason I do it on heavier weight paper is I'm getting the two-sided color copied. It looks really slick when you present it to the client. It's going to have a clear binder on the front, solid binder on the back. It's going to help distinguish that I go a little bit further when I'm taking my time to present stuff to the client. If I want to include more information in there, I can. But the bottom line is, when they get this report from me, it wasn't printed out on my home printer. The color and clarity of everything looks much better, and I feel it's presenting me as a more thorough real estate agent when I go to these clients' homes. So it's loaded up right now. I'll show you what that looks like. But that's just something I do on my own. It's like a $12 to $15 investment I'm putting in to hopefully gain the $400,000 listing. So that's just a little side note. All right, it's loaded up. So now we want to view it. We want to see what this report actually looks like to them. And it's going to pull it up in the PDF format of everything we just did, in the order that we had it set, and it's loading.
So slow.
So slow. Yeah, I should have gave that speech about printing it out during this phase when it's loading up. So I can tell you right off the bat, if it takes this long to load, it is going to have too many pages. And we can see there are a lot of pages here as you go through it. Here's all your report. Here I am. Here's that map I told you about. We can go all the way through. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. There are 57 pages in this report. That's a lot of information. My philosophy when I go into my clients, they're not going to look at 57 pages worth of stuff. They are not. They're going to, you're going to get a few minutes into everything and then just be out of here. So you want to get to what they want to know right away. Also, as you can see all these really cool pictures that they're showing? I don't like to include those. And the reason personally I don't like to include those is because what I found people start doing is they start turning it into, they start comparing little items like, Oh, our basement finish is better than theirs. Our kitchen cabinets are better than theirs. Oh, that bedroom, why would anybody have this in a bathroom? That's, that's ugly. I don't like this. Why would they have this? Why? Oh, that's an ugly granite. Our sink faucets are better. I don't want to turn this into, a realtor show or a home renovation show where they're looking at colors and everything else. Maybe people hate blue bedrooms and go, why would they paint it that color? That's so cluttered. I personally don't like to include all the photos, and I'll show you what I do to get around that. And I think it also makes a much shorter report. Again, you're trying to get the clients to agree to a price to get the listing. What you don't want them doing is start looking at all these individual photos and saying our deck is better, the landscape's better, oh, our basement's better, oh, that's, why would someone do this? Why would somebody do that? Because you really don't care about that. What you're caring at are what are the homes selling for, and how is that home that they're going to come in compare to this. Now, you'll have this information in the back of your head because you've already done the due diligence, looked at the photos. But so this is a 57-page report. People aren't going to thumb through it all, and I don't want to get into that conversation with them. So what I typically do, this is how I get around it. I'm going to get out of there. We're going to go back to Cloud CMA. We're going to go back to the CMAs. We're going to open up that one we were just on, David, right, and Reba. We're going to edit it. Oh, one other thing I wanted to show you. Dang it. Publish real quick. Hopefully it'll load up a little quicker. Oh, Lord. All right, it's going to take me a while to load it. I want to show you the differences in the cover page. I can't bump out of this. Yeah, we'll get out of this. Nope. I'm going to wait for this to quit spinning here. Can I go back right now? Oh, there we go. We're viewing. Oh, it's going to take me back. Okay. We're going to edit it. Edit. So if you remember when you don't have to go through listing and customize. You don't have to do update listings when you go to edit. Just come here to the customize page and go right there. Remember, we didn't add a cover photo, and I want to show you what the title page looks like without a cover photo. What it does when you don't put in a photo is it creates this purplish looking photo. It's an overhead aerial shot, and the home we're looking at is right there. I don't like this, the way this looks. So what I do is I remember when I said I pulled a photo off of the BSNA photo. I loaded it to my desktop and I saved it so I can pull it in. So we'll come back here to listings. In this section where it says, nope, criteria, I'm sorry, the first page, criteria, add a cover photo. I just go in here, I already pulled it up, 46493 Kramer cover photo. I'm going to hit up, select upload. Now this is what's going to appear on the front of the report. Looks a lot better. I select that. We don't need to crop it. I'm just going to leave it at crop. We're good. And we're going to hit update listings and customize. Now the next time I go and print that report, that's going to come in. So we're going to the customize part where all we are going to do is change the pages. So now remember when I said we had all those photos in there, you don't need to delete any of this stuff right here. All you have to do is come up and we're going to change the layout. And here I'm going to talk about the 2-column, 3-column, and 4-column comparison. 2-column is just that. It shows you, 2 properties. I'm going to take out some of this because we don't need all this. Showing the commission, the marketing action plan, the closing chapter. Average price we'll read in. Time per sell we're going to get rid of. Sold property analysis. We're going to really shorten up this report. I'm also going to take out all these chapter headings. The reason I'm taking out all the chapter headings is because when I print my report, I don't have tab pages, so there's no reason having a blank page in there because they're hard to identify. So I got rid of all the chapter headings. I'm taking out the notes page. This looks pretty good right here. It's going to be a much shorter report. In the 2-column comparison, if we publish the report, should publish up a little quicker. because we don't have all that in there. Come on. We'll view the PDF. I have the cover photo there. It looks much nicer. Let's go down here to the comparable properties. So now it just has a little bit about, and here's the pending sale. And what it'll do is when you get into where they have more than one, see how you have two of them side by side, and it doesn't give you all the photos. It just gives you information about the home so you can kind of read them. That's a two column report. The 3 is very similar. Back to CMAs. We're going to edit it. The 3 column, if there's 3 in each one, it'll show you that. We're going to go to the customize. Here's the 3 column comparison. And we'll publish this really quick so you can see what the 3 column comparison looks like. Bear with me, folks. We're probably about another 15 minutes. We'll be out of here. About wrapping it up. We're going to view the PDF. And now let's go down to just strictly the comparison pages. Now you have 3 in a row: active, pending, sold, and then you're going to have your other ones. The other 3, it only shows 3 columns at a time, so we should have 4 pages of information. Yep, that's it. We have 6 properties. But we still haven't gotten to what the purpose of the CMA is, which is to compare the subject property against the other ones on the market. So the way to do that is back to the CMAs. This is the page I use the most. I wanted to show you what they look like so that you can, however you want to make your report look, you can. That's why I wanted to show you what those other pages look like. The page I use the most when I go into customize, as soon as it loads up, it is the 4 column comparison. What this does is in the 4th column, I'll show you really quickly. In the 4th column, in the 1st column on the far left, it shows the subject property, and all the other columns, it shows comparable things going across the page. So now you get to what the heart of a CMA is, which is a comparative market analysis to show your clients how their home stacks up to what's on the market. So we get down here. Here's the subject property. It says subject property purple. Here's the active one. List price, sold price, price per square foot, days. You can now start seeing, to me, this is what an essence of a CMA is. You're comparing properties and it's giving them the data. All the photos aren't involved. They're not getting involved in that. And you can talk about the things that are going to matter, which is what is the best price to list your home based on the other homes in the market that are similar to theirs. So I always use the 4 column comparison when I do my CMAs. We're going to go back to the CMAs, and I'm going to show you a couple other, back to CMAs. Close out some of these. This is all getting too long. We're going to edit this, and now remember when I told you you can pull in BS&A, and you can pull in that tax data and some other information. If you take in our market stats class and InfoSparks, and we show you how you can load the current market, what's going on for the area. In this case, this was Shelby Township. Previously, I went to market stats. I loaded down the current data for Shelby Township, and I want to pull that into my report. In order to add custom pages that you can't find in your report, it's pretty simple to do. You go up to the upper right corner where either your face is or it may be just initials up here if you don't have a photo uploaded. Select that. You have your account settings, which you can check. Always check that if you don't think they're right. But the biggest thing is custom pages. There are 2 things in custom pages you can add. You can add pages that you update yourself, like a Word document, or you can pull in anything that's in a PDF format. And it's loading. There's a custom page that I create that I include in all my CMAs. It's called Your CMA Criteria Explained. We'll go in, I'll show you what that looks like. What I do, it's a quick little explanation of what I did their search on, the number of homes I pulled in, and kind of why, what I was looking at, so that they know. But the biggest reason that I include that page is right here at the bottom. I say this analysis is based on market activity at the time the CMA was prepared. Market conditions are always changing, you know, depending on when you actually list your home, the values have changed. It's kind of my disclaimer in there. And I also let them know that it is not an appraisal. I make sure I let them know that the CMA is not an appraisal because I'm not a licensed appraiser. But this is a page where you can come in, you can either create a Word document, copy and paste it here, or just create that as your own, make the changes, of course, save it, and you can add that as a custom page where you type something in. The other thing you can do is you can have PDFs added, and these are other CMAs I did for Sterling Heights in March and everything else like that. I added this in this morning, should be Shelby Township market stats right here for December. That page is in there. I'm a believer of speaking to Zillow. I figure most of my clients have looked at a third-party listing agency, Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, or something else. They already have an idea of what they feel their house is worth. So in this case, earlier today, I pulled up their property on Zillow. I screenshotted what Zillow says their property is going to be worth, and I'm going to include that in the CMA. I figure since they've already looked at it, that's probably going to be their starting point. I either have to talk them down on that ledge or off that ledge as to why it may not be an accurate number. So since I already did that this morning, I'll show you how to add it. It's pretty simple. If you want to add something, let's see, I got to go to my real source. Here's the pages I want to add. I already got market stats in here. Here's the one for Zillow that I created this morning. So what you do is you go to your CMA, where we were just at. Wrong page, my mistake, right here. Custom pages. To load PDFs, you have to go all the way down, so it's upload a PDF. And then you just find the PDF you want to bring in. And right here, it's the Kramer Zillow one, and I want to upload that. So this is stored in my custom pages, kind of like my directory. So now I go back to my CMA. I got my custom pages loaded up. I go back to my CMA, and I want to include those custom pages in my final report. So I'm going to edit it. Is it loading? Yep, there you go. And I'm going to go up to customize. Now I'm going to come down to where it says custom pages on the far left where my index is. And here are all my custom pages. I'm going to add your CMA criteria explained, the Zillow page, the market stats, and the BSNA info, which I already previously loaded up. Those are all of my per report. Problem is, they're in places I don't like them. So I want to move them to the market stats. I'm going to leave there. The owner information I'm going to leave there. But the CMA criteria explained, I want to move up. I want to move that up to right behind what is a CMA. I always like my contact me page to be my last page. That's just me personally. There's another item I like to use under the analysis chapter. It's called the online value analysis. I like to include this page, and I'll show you why. The online value analysis takes the properties, and it's generated by Zillow, and it shows you what the estimate is and what the price was and the difference. So in this case, they're up. The homes are actually selling for about 17 grand better than what Zillow has the prices at. So you kind of want to see what the list price is. It's listed at 409. The estimate is 395. Same here. Sometimes on the sold side, they have the sold Z estimate on the day it was sold. I just like to include this in there so that I kind of know what's going on in the market relative to Zillow, what they're checking. So I put that page in there. It's called the online value analysis. I put it right after my comparable property statistics. And with that, I take the Zillow page and I move it right behind it. So I don't want the average price per square foot, listing paperwork. here is kind of how my report is going to look. I'm going to rename it because the template, I changed the template, and I'm going to call it the same thing. It is David and Reba. The reason I'm renaming the template is I made so many changes in it. I want to keep this as a 15-page template for them. And then we're just going to publish this report. Did it take it? Yep. Publish the report. And as you can see, I went from 57 pages to significantly less pages. It's a much cleaner report. It added that page that I told you about, that I did a little summary of what my search was. Here's my disclaimer note. Here's a map of comparable property statistics, summary of comparable properties. Look at all these so you can see what's in there. And then again, here, the 4-column comparison with the subject property. I've eliminated all those photos. And more comparable properties. Here's my online value analysis page. Here's that Zillow property that I loaded that's saying their house is between 350 and 415. And some other analytical pages that are in here. Here's the BS&A page. You don't have to include it. I just showed you how you can add a page in case they start talking to me about square footage and everything else like that. Here, and then here's the local market update that kind of explains to them what's going on in their neighborhood through December. And last page is me. So this, I went from 57 pages to 16. That's a really nice manageable report to get to your clients so that you can go through the information. Because again, the purpose of the CMA is to establish a list price that they're comfortable with so that you can get the listing. A couple other things I'm going to touch on real quickly. Once your report is done, you can email them the report. You can copy it as a PDF or copy it as a live link. You can also right here, we already viewed the PDF, you can view the live. Viewing it live allows you to send it to them so that you can do an interactive kind of exchange with your clients. I've used it a few times. I'm not really as familiar with it as I should be. I don't use it unless I absolutely have to. This was a really good option that was implemented during the COVID time when we weren't allowed to meet face-to-face but still taking listings. So I would suggest before you do it, you send it to yourself and get familiar with all the tabs that are available there and how to walk through them all and how to do your report. I know some agents who use it. You could also do it if you have to present to somebody remotely. Maybe they're handling a trust and they're in a different state. You can send them this information and go over it with them. That's the live version. The other thing you can do is back on the CMA page. Right here, you have, for that CMA, you have 3 dots in the upper right corner. If you select that, copy the PDF link, copy the live link, view a slideshow. Slideshow is a little bit like live. This works really well if you can bring them into your conference room in your office. If you have access to a TV like we do in the training room, and then it gives them a nice little slideshow. You can walk them through and show them everything if you don't want to give them a written format. Your controls are right here, left and right, up and down. Takes you through the pages. You have a down arrow, so you have 4 listings on the sold side. Takes you over, and then it'll bring up the properties. This can show them the photos if you want to get into all the photos. You can. You know my feelings about letting them see too much photos because they lose focus of trying to establish a price and start getting into aesthetics of different homes. Although aesthetics are important, that's the market's going to determine what their price is worth. So in Cloud CMA, you have those different options. So in wrapping it up pretty quick, going back to our home screen. Oops. You have 2 options to do a CMA. Both of them start with doing a search and selecting the subject properties that you want to look at. The first option is coming over here to reports, dropping down to CMA, opening up the CMA, and typically going to the CMA summary, which tabulizes everything and also computes the data at the bottom for you to look at. It's basically a 1-page report, has a lot of uses. It's very quick. You can do it pretty quickly. You can also use it for buyers trying to select the price on an offer. A lot of different ways you can use that quick report. The other way, you go back to your main search, select the properties you want, come up here to Actions, open up the Cloud CMA tab, and start the process of generating a CMA that way. Those are the two great ways to get through to either one of those reports. Then kind of to wrap it up here, that takes care of everything on the CMA end. Deb, do we have any questions for CMAs or anything like that?
We had one really good question about using RPR. So when would you want to use RPR? So it was the one that I answered to Melissa. That was very interesting. One thing about RPR, remember you were talking about you're not an appraiser?
Yep.
Thank God we're not. But it has that Hanley Woods model in there to help you with the valuations, which is a really cool tool.
RPR you can use when you're up there as well. You can include that if you don't want to include the Zillow page, or you can look at it for good information. I try not to look at anything that gives me an estimated value till I've done my CMA myself. I don't want to be clouded by that. And then I want to see what the range is. I'm going to come up with the range based on the data that I'm pulling from my off of my search that I created. Then I'll check the RPR. I'll check Zillow. I'll see all that stuff and then bring it into my report as needed, because I want to see where I'm falling in line. I kind of don't want to be prejudging something based on the information that's out there, but you can do it however you want. RPR is also a really good tool that you can look at. You can go there instead of BS&A to get the tax information. I just like to go to BS&A because it typically is the go-to municipality that most of the information is going to be in. There are certain communities where you may have to pay $2 to get the information. So going to RPR or other sources to get that is just as well that you can use there.
Wow. $3 for
oh, it's now $3, Debbie tells me. Yeah.
And
so
don't forget, well, we cover it when you go from a live listing from Macomb County, St. Clair County, and the Grosse Pointes, Genesee as well.
So we can cover it in as part of your membership. If you go from a live listing there, you can look at it or pay the $3 or get into RPR or other ways. So the last bit of thing I'm going to cover is more of a housekeeping, little bit about this homepage where you can find some great tools here. Then we'll be done. Back on the homepage, I talked about our YouTube page that Debbie puts all this on. If you look here in the middle, in this light blue bar here, the fourth one over is our YouTube page. If you select that, it takes you immediately to the My Real Source YouTube page. It's just like any other YouTube page. We ask you to subscribe, like our page. It helps us just get higher views and everything else like that. Once you are here, this page over here on the bottom right, you see this magnifying glass. You can search, like if you wanted to see all the videos that are up on CMAs, you just type in CMA and you'll see different information here and all the videos that have been loaded for that. Use this search bar. This is for our My Real Source page. This search bar takes you into YouTube. So it's this one down here by this magnifying glass. Then over here on the left, we have the home subscription. That's all, is where you can, this home button rather, you can see the videos that we have, some of the playlists that we have. Debbie's done a great job of creating all this, so you can go in here and see different topics. Maybe you've taken another class and want to go back and refresh. This is where you would do it. And then back on the home page, the other last item I want to show you is up here in the thin blue bar, darker blue bar on the top, you have MLS documents. If you go into MLS documents, and then down here under MIRS Education, here's where you're going to see all the documents and handouts that Debbie prepares for you. If you want to go back and look at something, they're here. Cloud CMA handout. Here's a short version right here. There, you just click on that. You have access to all those documents that are there. If you're looking for a document specifically, up here, just type in here what you're looking to search, and it should bring it up. Hit enter, and it'll bring up those documents directly. So those are the educational forms over here on our MLS documents. Cloud CMA, I'm going to close it up with this as kind of like my final thoughts. Understanding the two CMAs and how to use them, in particular Cloud CMA. where you can bring in your listing package and everything else. Sometimes that's your one shot to get a listing, is how you present that information. So, and also doing a CMA is going to help differentiate you as a, trusted real estate professional in that area versus all the information they can get from all the sites that use artificial intelligence, AI, analytic data to pull home pricing together that, your potential clients are going to look at and make a decision based on their home pricing. So take the time to do a good CMA and understand the numbers that are in there, because that is going to help set your value and your worth as a realtor and why they should be using you, number one, over any of your competitors that are showing up, and more importantly, why going to something that's just all 100% cloud-based. It's like the first way to truly demonstrate your knowledge of an area and your capabilities as a professional realtor. So I consider the ability to use Cloud CMA to be probably one of the top tools that you should be not only just proficient at, but knowing how to put that information together and use it to get that listing. So that wraps up everything. I ran a minute or two long here. We appreciate you guys dialing in and coming to the webinars. Debbie posts everything out there. Look at them. Sign up for the classes. Some of them that are hybrid come in here into our classroom. It's a good setting in here. And Debbie, I'll let you close off and shut down everything.
Hey, actually, Melissa had another question.
Okay.
So, what about the CMA wizard? Oh, that's the Paragon CMA. Ugh.
No.
Let's sum it up.
CMA wizard is what you go in when you first CMA preference wizards.
Yeah, so that's doing the Paragon CMA, which is, we'll just say, not very pretty and just not.
Yeah, it's not something, when we go into CMA, we typically go just down to Cloud CMA out of this tab right here. Cloud CMA will take you to all the CMAs you have stored. Cloud CMA is a really, really good thing to use. I don't use the wizard, so I can't talk, or that other wizard. I either use the summary page from Paragon CMA, or I go and generate in more of a report looking format through Cloud CMA.
Yeah, that's why we give you Cloud CMA, because that's just not, it's not pretty.
Yeah. Cloud CMA also has some really good other things that you can use in it. I'm not going to touch on it in this class because I think, don't we have something that touches on Cloud CMA specifically? We used to.
Oh, just a cloud class? No.
Yeah, so
we use both. Oh, well, we do have one on the YouTube channel where we did a deeper dive into Cloud CMA and all the customizations there.
For those of you that are still hanging out in Cloud CMA, this is not part of the class. Cloud CMA also has a thing where you can do flyers if you want. If your office doesn't generate flyers for you and you want to do a little nicer open flyer, you can. It also, there's a way to do that. Play around with this flyer subject right here. It's easy to walk through, and it's really good if you want to do buyer tours. You can set up some pretty nice buyer tours for your clients, and email that to them and give them some more information. I don't use these two that much anymore. If anything, I just use the flyer one when I'm going to go do a listing. There's a whole lot of things that you can do there if you're holding an open house. It creates a nicer flyer, and again, anything that I'm going to print out that I'm going to leave at a home, me personally, I'm going to take it to an office supply store. I want the heavier weighted paper, and I also use that as a talking point in my presentation. Hey, look, feel this report versus somebody else that's just going to run it on their home printer. Which one do you want representing your property? So it all becomes a showing of your best foot forward as a realtor. So if there's nothing else, Debbie?
We are good to go.
All right.
Well, thank you everybody for attending. We greatly appreciate it. And the next class in person is going to be the new agent welcome class, which I know you guys have already done it. So if you know somebody who needs the class, we'll do it just like this, where you'll actually be able to look into the class, but nobody showed today. So yay. Thanks, Lisa. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. All right. Bye, everybody.